taking advantage of that.
You've seen his plan on energy. Put a moratorium on drilling in the Gulf. Don't get oil out of Anwar in Alaska. Turn down the Keystone Pipeline. How do you get that one wrong? He's made it harder and harder to get coal out of the ground and harder to use coal. All of these things kill jobs, send money outside our country, make our energy supply less reliable. If I'm president, I will instead do the opposite of all those things. I will open up drilling in Anwar. I'll open up drilling in North Dakota. I'll get our gas out of the ground. I'll make sure we can get our coal out of the ground. And I will bring in that pipeline from Canada.
It's easy to promise a quick fix when it comes to gas prices. There just isn't one. Anyone who tells you otherwise, any career politician who promises some three-point plan for $2 gas, they're not looking for a solution. They're just looking for your vote. In the next few weeks, I expect
the late and change phase, when the president was running 4 years ago, he had a lot of people who supported him to the tune of at least $2,000. Take a look at this graphic. Supporters who donated more than $2,000 back then, 23,000. Right now, less than half that.
Only 7%. Yeah, only 7% that supported him with money the first time around are supporting him again. So that's much lower than was expected. He's still doing good, but the $1 billion thing is not going to happen. If you read Karl Rove did the math on Thursday, put out his column on Friday in the Wall Street Journal. He came out forward and said, "Listen, he's behind what we were doing with George W. Bush. We had half as many fundraisers as he has, and if he wants that $1 billion, he's only getting half as much as he needs every month." Now, the administration came back with the re-election side, said, "We never said we wanted $1 billion.
Yeah. Good spin.
Wait a second. They said that every day.
The other thing, and Carl pointed this out, and it's also in the Washington Post today, the burn rate for this campaign is enormous. In the month of January, they spent $17 million. They only took in 11. And that's you know, you do that very long, you start operating a deficit.
Yeah, and speaking of stories that you fired up on a Monday morning, a Monday school morning, we talked to a parent earlier who's outraged because her children go to a school in Southern California, Capri Elementary School, where the school has decided that they're going to go ahead and immerse all of the kids in dual language classes. So it's no longer an option to have English-only education, that everybody will take math, science, everything in both Spanish and English.
Wow.
The mom that we talked to, Karen Brink, already has a child, an older child, enrolled in the school, and they've offered them the option of, if you don't want to do this, you can send your kids to another school across town. And she's saying, you know, she doesn't really want to send both of her kids to different schools. Here's what she had to say earlier.
No, I would not want to participate in the dual language immersion program. And again, it's just my choice. And that's what I'm arguing against, is don't take my choice away. Don't make me leave my local neighborhood school and fracture my family. That's really what it's about. Don't take our choice away. Our general education should not be taken and dictated by a program. We should be allowed to have an English-speaking only language program in our general education.
Wow. We know there's a heavy Hispanic population down there, but that has no right to make English not the #1 language. The superintendent, Tim Bear, says this, defending the proposal: all change is hard. Sometimes there are short-term pains, but there may be long-term gains. Like the whole country could be speaking 2 languages.
Sure. So we asked you what you thought. Here's an email from Truman down in Florida. Only a PC idiot would ever suggest such a thing. Teaching in 2 languages begs the question, aren't we discriminating against people who speak languages other than English and Spanish? Let's do it in 172 languages.
That's a pretty good point. And then looking at Twitter, Larry Williams tweets, that would be fine if the schools are located in Mexico.
Well, you know, it would be daunting. Can you imagine if you are a kindergartner who is going into kindergarten and you're going to learn everything in English and Spanish? That's going to be daunting, but at the same time, if you live particularly that close to Mexico, maybe that would be very handy to have that, you know, in your toolbox.
In kindergarten, they're still learning shapes, though.
But the problem is, for a lot of the families, if you want your kid taught only in English, you're going to have to cart your kid across town now.
And there are schools that offer immersion education. I mean, this is a popular thing in some places, depending on the language. I think that her point was she wants the choice.
In kindergarten, they're still learning shapes, though. In kindergarten, they're still learning shapes, though.